Tatua ki au, te mihi ki a rangi nui rao te whakatuanuku, timatanga o tātou i te tanaka. Tatuku mihi ki te whakapapa e tuia nei e tātou, o koutou tūpuna o urupi, me ngā tūpuna o Aotearoa ki ngā koutou. Ka haere tonu ngā mihi kia koutou e te tangata whenua o Kotirana, ngā kaitia ki o tēnei whenua, ōrunga, ōraro, me te whenua anō ki ngā koutou. Ngā mihi nui ki a koutou i te ropu whakahaere, ngā tamariki o Kotirana, o tira ki ngā ringa katoa e whakahaere ane i te rangi nei, me te manaaki mai i a mātou i nei rā ki ngā koutou katoa. Ngā mihi hoki ki a koutou e hara mai ana i te whakarongo ki ngā tūmomo pōrero tāna ki ngā whānau, e ngā tamariki mokopuna o Kotirana o tira, ki o mātou tamariki mokopuna o Kopae Piripono, kei roto o Taranaki Aotearoa ki ngā koutou. Ka whakakapi ki nei mihi i te whakatauki ki a tau te rangi Māori ki a mau te aroha e ngā iwi katoa. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge Ranginui, the Sky Father, and Papatuanuku, the Earth Mother, the origins of the mankind as we see. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge the meeting of our ancestors in the days gone by. Acknowledge their presence in all things. I'd like to acknowledge the caretakers of these homelands, of the highlands and the lowlands, the Scottish peoples. Greetings. I'd like to acknowledge children in Scotland for making this day possible. Thank you also to the University of Stirling and the Stirling Management Centre for taking such wonderful care of us over the past few days. Greetings. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge those who have taken time out to come to be a part of this day, and I hope you go home with some richer understanding. Tēnā koutou katoa. As usual, we will start with our karakia.
Ko rangi ko papa ka puta ko rongo ko tāne ma uta tu ki te rangi e tui onu. Ai muri i o ko tāna roa ko tū ma kauenga omi e tikitike ka miri mate i rere i te rangi e mai. Toko nara ko te rangi ki runga ko papa ki raro ka wee, wee a ka puta te wai ao te ao marama, rama. Ka tatatu ko te ira, tangata ringa, are are tanga o papa, o rapa kauana ki te mata wenua, ki te tua wenua ki ngā motu muanga e mai. Ko ia ra tēnei, e rongo oi ake ki runga, ko te rongo ki runga, ki raro ki te runga, tangata ki ngā tamariki mokopuna, hui e, tai.
What we just sang was our opening karakia, or Indigenous prayer, called Tātai Whakapapa. The karakia enables us to understand and to organise the Indigenous concept of the Ao Māori, the Maori world, that are the essence of our operation and practice. Tātai Whakapapa refers to the original whānau, or family, Ranginui, the Sky Father, Papatuanuku, the Earth Mother, their children, the atua, and the creation of the universe and of humankind. Tātai Whakapapa is our foundation, our strength and our guide. We believe that a whānau community where all members are balanced and in harmony is the perfect environment for our children to develop as dynamic, competent and confident human beings. Te Kopae Piripono is a Maori language early childhood centre based in the city of Plymouth on the west coast of the North Island of New Zealand. Te Kopae sits beneath our beautiful tūpuna maunga, our ancestor mountain, Taranaki. Te Kopae was established in October 1994 by a diverse group of parents, educators and other prominent individuals in the community, all committed to the retention and enrichment of te reo Māori, me ngā tikanga Māori, the Māori language and customs within Taranaki. Te Kopae Piripono was born out of a shared desire to rear our children on kaupapa Māori, that is, within a Māori paradigm, speaking the language of their forebears and at home with indigenous concepts and practices. The character of Te Kopae Piripono is embodied in its name. The word Kopae is the Taranaki equivalent of kohanga, or nest, wherein the young are nurtured and the language and learning are fostered. Piripono speaks about devotion and commitment and can be translated as an everlasting and genuine embrace. Te Kopae Piripono has a full day licence. Children attend for the whole day between 8:30 and 3:30 p.m. Our centre operation coincides with the primary school calendar, meaning we operate in a 4-term year with corresponding holidays. We are licensed for 40 children, 25 over 2 and 15 under 2. We currently have a full-time and part-time teaching staff of 8. 6 of these are registered early childhood teachers, while another has a Master of Education Early Years degree. Added to this, in 2010, one of our parents began studying towards an early childhood teaching qualification, and in 2012, another 3 will embark on study to become qualified early childhood teachers. The kaupapa or philosophy of Te Kopae Piripono is reflected in our mission statement. Te Kopae Piripono is an educational initiative with an absolute commitment to tamariki and children and to whanau. An easy translation of whanau is family. Depending on the intent of the speaker, whanau may be the immediate family grouping or family on a larger scale. Implicit in the term whanau are the rights and privileges, responsibilities and obligations that go with belonging to a group bound by common descent or by shared purpose. At Te Kopae Piripono, the whanau singular is the collective and whanau plural are the individual families with their children who comprise Te Kopae Piripono. Māori early childhood education is predominantly born out of Māori educational aspirations for our tamariki mokopuna, our children and grandchildren. The most well-known Māori early childhood institution is Te Kohangareo, what are called Māori language nests. However, there are also whare ko hunga hunga, which are Māori language early childhood centres, such as Te Kopae Piripono, and puna ko hunga hunga, or Māori playgroups. Māori early childhood services are mainly whānau run and whānau driven. This whānau context also informs and influences the nature of social interaction and relationships and the distribution of various roles and responsibilities. Everyone's skills, abilities and contributions are integral to achieving the collective aspiration. Therefore, rather than denoting position, authority and recognition, leadership tends to focus on contribution and responsibility. It is important here to give you the understanding of our historical context. This context is a key reason why Te Kopae Piripono was established, and also why we work with whānau in the specific way that we do. During the 1800s, with the stroke of a pen, millions of acres of Māori land were unilaterally stripped from Māori by the colonial government of the time. What followed was a dismantling of the economic, social and political fabric of Māori society. And it is not rocket science to guess that Māori have struggled in these negative circumstances ever since. Te Kopae Piripono is our attempt at psychological, organisational and educational redress for us as a community, and ultimately a brighter future for our tamariki mokopuna, our children and our grandchildren. Given our historical context, the reality for us is that many of the families enrolling into Kopae Piripono have had little lived experience of Te Ao Maori, or the Maori world, with only the vestiges of their cultural heritage passed down to them by their parents and grandparents, having survived the highly effective processes of colonisation. Te Kopae Piripono provides them with an opportunity to reclaim things Māori for themselves and their offspring. Our whānau development scheme was designed to bridge the difference between the Te Kopae Piripono vision and the understanding and experience of members on entry. This provides a process by which individuals and families are supported as they become part of the whānau. Whānau development promotes the learning and development of the whole whānau as individuals and as a collective. Whānau development is based on the premise that all members of the whānau, the children and their families, are climbing a metaphoric potama, or what is described as a learning and development staircase, and that there is a shared commitment to and responsibility for the upward movement of the whānau on that potama.
Kia ora, Hinerangi. My name is Aroaro, and I want to go a little bit more into whānau development. Whānau development at Te Kopae Piripono is about building the use of the whānau skills base and how this contributes to an individual's learning and their belonging. This wheel that's coming up now shows easily how expertise within the whānau can be utilised for the benefit of the individual and also as the collective at the same time. We have a saying that says, "Mā tō roro, mā tapu roro, ka ora ai te iwi." With your food basket and my food basket, our people will flourish and survive. We realise that our vision through the implementation of our whānau development scheme developed by the whānau, for the whānau, and based on the needs of the whānau. Individually and collectively, we share in the responsibility. How does it work? By bringing together the expertise within the whānau for the development of the whānau. And if you can see in the slide, if you can see it, there's names in the middle. They're a representation of our wider whānau. And on the outside, these are some of the skills that we identified that they bring, or what we call the wealth or the bounty that we have within our presence every time we attend to Kopae. If you have a look at your whānau base, you often see there's actually a lot more to the families that you work with every day than face value. Okay. In 2004, Te Kopae was named as a Centre of Innovation. So as Linda described, we carried out a 3-year research project about our innovation. Some of the things that we considered at the start of our research was, what difference does fostering whānau make? And how does it really make a positive difference for families and for children? These questions and more led to the formulation of our research question, which was, how does whānau development at Te Kopae Piripono foster leadership across all levels to enhance children's learning and development? How might leadership look for an individual whānau member, whether that be a child, a parent or a teacher? And what might it specifically entail for the whānau as a whole? You see, at Te Kopae, we believe that if you take out the traditional hierarchical structure out of the thinking around leadership, what are you left with? If you take the structure out of the thinking about leadership, what are you actually left with? Anyone have any ideas? No? You're left with people. People and their relationships with others. So, we came up with this idea about how leadership looks, and it's called Ngā Tapohanga e Whā, or the 4 responsibilities of leadership. Ngā tapohanga is te whai tapohanga, or having responsibility, te kawe tapohanga, or taking responsibility, te Maori tapohanga, being responsible, and te tuku tapohanga, sharing responsibility. And I'll just go into those responsibilities a bit more so I can tease them out for you a bit more, what that actually means or looks like. Okay, this responsibility is te whai tapohanga, or having responsibility. This is about having designated roles and positions. Now, I didn't say that you do away with the role and responsibility, because if you didn't have it, the whole place would fall over. What I'm saying is that having responsibility is just one component of leadership. If you only have the role responsibility and you don't have the others, you don't have the complete involvement and participation of all of your whānau or family. In these photographs, I'll explain them to you. We have a concept at home called tuakana teina principle, which is tuakana is older sibling, teina is younger sibling. So it's the concept of caring for your younger sibling, and in any given time that role can change. That the tuakana is the older sibling, and sometimes the teina may step up and be the tuakana in any experience or play that they're involved in. So in this series of photographs we have Te Atahaya on the left hand side and Tyson, and this is morning tea time, and they're eating grated carrot. And someone took these photographs and they're wonderful. On the left hand side, Te Atahaya is feeding Tyson the grated carrot, and in the split second, in the blink of an eye, they swap roles. No one told them to do it, they just swapped their roles. They negotiated their relationship, and that is leadership in action. They took on a role that was different, and you see, and then they swap over, and then Tyson feeds her. Now, leadership is in both of those children, because both of them allowed each other, A, to be fed, and the other to feed. So there's that negotiation of that leadership and learning in that same series of photographs. Does that make sense? Yes? I'll just see which one comes up. Okay, we've got te whai takohanga, te kawe takohanga, taking responsibility. This is about seeing opportunities and basically having the courage to step up to the challenge. Sometimes this is a difficulty that most of us have in terms of public speaking or whatever it is. But for everybody, whether it's a child, teacher or parent, this is something that we grapple with daily. And these photographs, and these are all examples of children's leadership. I could have put in photographs of adult leadership, but I thought it'd be nice to show children's leadership in action. This is little Mana Ariki standing up, and this is our what we call wā hui hui or mat time. And this is one of the first times that he stood up to speak on the mat. This is him with his fingers in his mouth, and let's see how here he is, he's so cute. And every day we celebrate the successes and the celebration of children taking responsibility for themselves and their learning and for the learning of others. This is te Maori takohanga, or being responsible. This is about our attitudes and our actions, about being professional, about acting ethically, about being positive and being open to change. In these series of photographs, I don't know whether you can see, but in the top left there's a bird. And we came in one morning and she was on the bottom of the cage. She passed away overnight. She was quite old. And we came in and we thought, what do we do? Okay, so we'll have a funeral service for her, what we call a tangihanga. And we went through a formal process of farewelling our bird. The really interesting thing about these photographs is the little boy in the middle called Moses. And when we arrived, he took on this whole persona, this whole approach towards this bird, which was caring for her, and he didn't leave her side. We got a little box, decorated it, filled it with shredded paper, placed her in the box, and then we said our farewells to her, we sang to her, and then you can see in the photograph, that photograph below, carry her to our urupa or pet cemetery. And we do have pet cemetery, and there are a few items or animals in that cemetery, 2 turtles, 6 fish, 3 birds. We don't kill our animals deliberately, it's just that we've been going for a long time, 17 years, so they can't last the distance. But anyway, we get to our pet cemetery, and then we bury her, we say our prayers over her, and then we bury her. The fascinating thing about Moses is that what he did in that day. We got to the end of the day and we said to his mother, "Oh my goodness, your son, he was just amazing." And she said, "Oh no, that'll be right, because his family are the grave diggers of his local community." And so he knew very, very well about the process of burial, all of those sorts of things. And so he was leading our learning that day. And no one told him to do that. We just were fascinated by what he did, his behaviour and his responsibility on that day. And we were the learners in that whole situation. The last kakohanga, the fourth responsibility, is the sharing responsibility, te tuku takohanga. This is actually a really important one in terms of relationships with others. It's about providing opportunities for others. Sharing power, negotiation, acknowledging and celebrating different perspectives, and asking for and providing assistance. Sometimes we as teachers might struggle with this one as well. And also, as you'll see, because this is a video, if I can get it to work, and you can hear it, but I've got subtitles on here, I think. I got that to work last night. Just to show you, this story is about Tapeka, which is Kuiji's great-granddaughter, and Terehia. And we have formal welcomes for any new people or visitors to Te Kopae. The day before this was taken, we had just welcomed a new family to Te Kopae. I get to Kopae this morning, and I can hear when we formally welcome, we give out what is called a karanga or a call. And that's a formal way of bringing people in from the outside within. So there's a karanga, mihi or speeches, and then waiata. And I was explaining to the women last night that waiata is a very special concept of song, which brings you back into, how do you describe it, people? Hang on. It's not just a song, it's to close the whole process off. Okay. So I arrived this morning and I could hear a karanga in process, and I thought, oh my gosh, have I got the days wrong? And there's another pōhiri, there's another welcome, and I'm actually halfway in the middle of it. Anyway, I walked in, and there were these all dressed to the nines in their play, in their what do you call it? Their dress-ups. And they were calling to each other. And this is the video of that. I'll see if it works. Hang on. Because we don't have that.